Well, you would think a promise from the mayor of Portland would carry some weight, but two Portland men say that is not the case at all.
They say they sold their home to the city so a floodplain could be cleared, but the promise made to get them to sell is not being kept. We sent our Chris Woodard to ask some tough questions of the city bureau involved. What did you find out, Chris?
Well, the current city leaders are not backing down. I wanted to know why the city's banning dogs from that floodplain and natural area, even though former Mayor Sam Adams says, yes, I did promise these men that dogs would be allowed.
You cannot trust what they say.
Mike Cummings and Robert Culver are mad.
We can't have dogs there, and it's just a bunch of garbage.
Their neighbor, frustrated for them.
Oh, it was shocking. It was completely shocking and it was insulting.
The two men sold their home to the city in 2010 along with dozens of others so the city could clear this area out and make it a floodplain. At the time, the men met with then Mayor Sam Adams and have the pictures to prove it. They say the mayor convinced them to sell by promising they would always be able to visit their former property with their dogs.
We had a pet cemetery in the back there, and that was a big, important issue on the sale of the property, if we were going to sell or not.
Today, this sign sits at the floodplain entrance. No dogs allowed. Not good for the wetlands and plants, the city says. Not good for sensitive wildlife either.
I believe in commitments. I guess they don't. It's just, I don't understand why you can say something and not live up to it.
For 2 years, the men have been trying to convince the city to honor the promise of the former mayor. In fact, the former mayor himself sent this email to the city in May, confirming the city did make that promise. So I went to the city for answers.
The other people in the meeting don't have that same recollection. It's not written in any kind of formal agreement.
I asked, if the former mayor says he made this promise, why isn't it being kept now?
Even though the discussion may have taken place and that promise may have been made, the reality is that Commissioner Fish, who is in charge of environmental services, and Commissioner Fritz, who is in charge of Portland Parks and Recreation, have reviewed that decision, and their decision is that it was a good one, a good decision to not allow dogs.
The city tells me that this is all about protecting wildlife, and Commissioner Fish even provided me this email that he says he sent to these two men involved. Now, that email says the city didn't take the decision lightly and relied, at least in part, on scientific literature about dogs in natural areas. But these men say they will not let this go and say their trust in government has taken a hit because of all of this. Back to you.
Boy, you can really understand both sides in this case. Thanks for breaking it both down, Chris.